We're at Wildwood.
With almost all of the Box Office Bears team to visit real IRL, not even joking, bears.
3 bears that they have behind us.
Today has been so much more than I thought it would be. We've seen the bears, we've seen the 3 different animals as totally different individuals. We've thrown their breakfast out for them and watched them go and forage, fed them biscuits. And to me, one of the amazing things was having a little dog biscuit, well, it's a bit bigger than that, probably about that big, and feeding it to an animal so large, and the gentleness with which they took that biscuit from our hands was just incredible.
How sort of cuddly and large they were as well. I mean, it was, really remarkable to be in that close proximity to them.
They're much bigger in real life than you think of in photos, and like big all over. I kind of imagined that a bear paw would be big, but they had huge backs and huge heads, and huge like faces with big noses.
When you read archival materials or look at manuscripts with bear images on and things, it fires your imagination, but there's nothing quite like then seeing the actual species and kind of realising that each one is an individual, has its own personality.
We get that a little bit from the work that we're doing. We have the names of the animals, we have people talking about them as though they behave in particular ways, one or another. And then to kind of hear that actually that's exactly what they're like, and then to see it in person is really fascinating, and it kind of helps us join the dots and bring the animal experiences back into the centre of what we're looking at historically.
Our older 2 are terrifyingly called Fluffy and Scruffy. Fluffy is our most dominant member of the group. He's the biggest, he's the strongest. He's quite a bit like a grumpy old man, just wants to sit around in his chair, not really do anything, which is fine. You know, it's fair enough. He didn't have the best start, the older 2. Scruff, he's a bit more playful. So he's a bigger bear, he's an older bear, but he's still got a little bit of play in him. And when we took on Bocky, the cub, we actually had a feeling that the 2 of them would get along very, very well. And when we let him out, the first thing that happened was Scruff actually got startled, he got spooked, and he ran from Bocky, despite the fact he was 4 or 5 times the size of him. Then slowly he just sort of wandered back a bit, and then almost from the get-go from there, the 2 of them were up on their feet, they were play wrestling, they've been together ever since.
It was extraordinary. They were very playful, they came to visit us, they hung out with us for a bit, particularly when there was food around, and it helped us thinking about what it would have been like for Elizabethans to gather around bears, how bears might react to being in the proximity of humans. And as the day continued, we suddenly got lots of school kids turning up. It made me think about the sound and the sense of crush at a baiting event. What that would be like for the bears themselves. I think it's really amazing the way that the keepers, the relationship that they have with the bears, and their like absolute love for the bears, but also that awareness that their love wasn't going to put the bears in any harm's way. It's remarkable how much has shifted from the period that the project's looking at to now, but obviously as well how much that continues to shift. So I thought they were really great.
Whereas in the context that we research, we have people that are obviously in similarly close proximity to bears, but with a very, very different relationship to those bears. Yes, we know that they were looking after them to an extent, but they were also profiting from, the violence around bear baiting and things like that.
So one of the Box Office Bears' strands of work is studying the bones of the animals that were found in London. Bears from Shakespeare's England, they were brutalised, they were treated incredibly poorly. Coming here today really reminds you that they're animals. When we're looking at them as bones, you can think of them as bones, but actually they were animals. And it's not until you see an actual bear with the flesh on, with the fur on, wandering around and seeing that they are different individuals, they've got different personalities, and the bears that we were studying would have reacted differently. They would have had shy bears and perhaps big chunky bears who aren't going to give a stuff. And it's easy to forget that when you're dealing with just their silent remains.
It just brings to life, doesn't it? The bears are such impressive creatures, so big and strong, majestic, but also kind of graceful and social. There's so much to them, and I can really, seeing them in the flesh, I can see why they have inspired so much.
They're what we call a storybook species. All of our childhoods, everyone has grown up with Winnie the Pooh, with Paddington, you have a fluffy teddy bear. You know what bears are, and I think it's made all the more interesting knowing that they've existed in our landscape. And I think that surprises an awful lot of people. Everything that we do here is about teaching people about British wildlife, past and present. So a lot of people don't know that bears existed here. And so everyone wants to come and see them. And the bears that we have, perhaps more importantly from our point of view, are all rescued from situations where they were not doing very well at all, and we've been asked to help out, hence building both this enclosure here and a really large enclosure at our Devon site for rescue bears. Seeing them in a very native habitat, lots of trees, the kind of trees that they would have roamed through thousands of years ago, I think it's really appealing. And people just love them, don't they? I mean, they're just part of our history.
I can't believe my luck that I've seen the 3 bears today. And on the way here, Hannah talked about the original fairy tales of the 3 bears, with there being an old woman. So I feel like I'm in the fairy tale today. I really love their energy and how they move. How actually they really only tend to get angry if there's something to be angry about. That something of their whole nature is just about mostly eating and just hanging out and being themselves, feeding and all of that sort of thing. But I still felt that power and that confidence from them.
One of the tensions in what we're doing today compared to what we're thinking about 400 years ago is that it's incredibly peaceful here. So it made me think about bears at rest and bears in their hopefully happier place after a difficult life elsewhere. And I was really feeling that tension today, that although we want to use this experience today to think about the bears we're studying, those bears will not have had the experiences that the bears we've been with today are having.
One of the really lovely things that we saw today was the care that the keepers are taking with these animals. They want them to be living their best bear life.
I wanted to hug them, which I know would not be safe at all, but I could really feel the urge.
Do you have a teddy bear before? I did.
What's his name?
I'm not telling you.